All eyes have been on Washington, D.C. this week as Canadian officials meet with their American counterparts to hammer out a new trade deal in the face of 50% threatened tariffs on Canada. To bring us the latest is Western Standard Chief Editor Dave Naylor. Dave, welcome back. Do we have a deal?
Who knows? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows at the moment. It's been a weird 3 or 4 days when Donald Trump came out on it was a Tuesday night saying that we did have a deal, and it's been followed by basically radio silence by Prime Minister Mark Carney. The next day, Donald Trump at a press conference said, "Yeah, we have a deal, and our farmers are going to be happy, and farmers won't have to pay any tariffs," which kind of shocked everybody because again we still hadn't heard anything about it. Our trade representative Dominic LeBlanc has been silent. Mark Carney briefed his cabinet ministers yesterday, and then he held a virtual First Ministers conference. But in terms of speaking to the public, he hasn't said a word. It's not like this is a big issue or anything like that. But I mean, come on, Prime Minister, you've got to keep your people informed. So the next deadline, and the goalposts always seem to get moved, Jeanette, every time you're dealing with Donald Trump,
Yeah.
is tomorrow at midnight. And if there's no deal, then these threatened 50% tariffs will be coming down.
Right.
I think they're close to a deal. I think there's probably some technicalities to figure out, but I think probably, hopefully, sometime tomorrow afternoon, Carney will come out and say yes, we have a deal. But of course, there's lots of little things to figure out. Number one item today seems to be alcohol. You'll remember Doug Ford pouring out a bottle of, what was it, Crown Royal maybe, on the ground at a press conference, and David Eby saying, quote, "There's no way in hell American liquor will be back on BC shelves anytime soon."
Yeah, well, lasting image, definitely, of him pouring that out. Yeah, so is Ford going to have to drink his words, basically, now?
Oh, I think so. Mark Carney reportedly told the First Ministers, the premiers yesterday, to put American booze back on the shelves. Now, those two aforementioned premiers who were most vocal about it have now gone most silent about it. We've heard nothing from David Eby. The rumor is that he may be on vacation. And we've heard nothing from Doug Ford. I mean, Doug Ford tweets 4 or 5 times a day, daily, and hasn't said a word for several days now. So at the end of the day, yeah, I think those two will have to swallow their pride and put American booze back on the shelves. And of course, in Alberta and Saskatchewan, they only really left for a very short time, and they have been available for weeks and weeks and weeks now.
Yes, exactly. One of the things that frustrates Albertans is the supply management placed on the dairy system to protect Quebec farmers. Dave, any movement on that? That was basically the one thing that LeBlanc had said, was he talked about supply management.
Exactly, and Mark Carney and Dominic LeBlanc have said supply management is not negotiable. Well, then why is Donald Trump coming out and saying that U.S. farmers will be happy and they won't have to pay tariffs? At the end of the day, we're going to get a deal that is going to it's not going to be a huge win for Canada, and it is going to inflict damage on mainly Ontario. And
Maybe that's why Carney is being mum right now.
Yeah.
He's trying to get his words right so that people don't get upset.
Yeah, and it's going to be damaging to Ontario and Quebec, and then British Columbia with lumber. But supply management is just ridiculous. The power that these 6,000 dairy farmers have in Quebec over the entire country, and the Quebec dairy cartel is outrageous. When you see, that this is the hill to die on for Canada. This is a cartel that flushes away billions of liters of milk every year, and they don't want competition. This is the hill for Canada to die on. very strange.
Yeah, it's strange indeed. And then you've got the president who's also tweeting about the Keystone XL pipeline and saying that that's part of the deal too.
No, right. I think, this was probably a good card for Mark Carney to play. Trump's always been talking about Keystone ever since he came to office. And I think it's his personal hobby horse because Joe Biden killed it. Sleepy Joe killed it on his first day in office. And I think Trump looks at it and says, well, hey, you know what? If I can get this up and running, this is another shot I can take at Biden. Biden canceled it. I've got it up. American oil security. Blah blah blah. So a lot of the infrastructure for Keystone is already done. Is built. It's in the ground. There is a Calgary company who said they'd be willing to look at it. So I mean, it could be a strange situation where Liberal governments have got a Alberta pipeline going to the south and then another one going to the west. So Liberal government builds two pipelines for Alberta. That's would be not a very good day for the independence movement.
Oh, okay. Speaking of the independence movement, okay, so the latest in that independence battle in Alberta. So there are now several reports about claims of foreign interference in the Alberta referendum process. So Premier Danielle Smith came out and said that she had been warned by both RCMP and CSIS that this is happening. Is there anything to this, Dave?
Well, the premier says there has been foreign interference, but nothing that rises to the level of criminality. So, what we're talking about here is pesky Russian bot farms, that sort of thing. There's no organized effort, one way or the other. So interference, yes. Is it changing anything? Is it anything to really worry about at the moment? I don't get that sense.
Are the bots speculation on your part, or have you heard or seen anything?
No, it's purely speculation. Danielle Smith says yes, there is interference, but provides no examples. The RCMP said there was interference, but have provided no examples. So again, the key line is hasn't risen to the level of criminality.
Okay.
So at this point, probably nothing that we need to worry about.
All right, unless there's proof to be had there. And these stories seem to get people more excited in central Canada than talk of even foreign interference in the national elections.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's, I think Albertans are smart enough to figure things out themselves without interference. Yeah, I mean, Central Canada tends to get excited about these things. Murky world of foreign intervention, and it's going to take Alberta out of the country. It's just hogwash, Jeanette. I'm sure stuff is going on, but it's not at a huge organized level yet.
Speaking of the referendum, Premier Smith said this week that she would call any binding referendum in spring of 2027. So, Dave, what was behind that move?
Oh, I think it's a brilliant political move, Jeanette. The referendum to whether or not you want to hold a referendum, it'll be in October. So, say by some miracle it passes. And they have to have a referendum. Smith wants it done before the next election, so it has to be in the spring of 2027. So these independence groups are very, very badly organized right now. They lack a clear leader. They really lack focus. So what the premier has done is said, okay, if you get the successful vote that you're after, we're going to hold a referendum so quickly that you won't even be able to get organized again. While the Federalist forces would be surely galvanized by a real binding referendum, the opposition guys still haven't got their stuff together, and it would be a quick campaign that they're completely unprepared for.
Meanwhile, we've got the Alberta Prosperity Project earlier this month releasing a draft copy of a proposed constitution should Alberta separate. Wow. So, Dave, what are some of the ideas that this Constitution contains?
Well, this is some fun stuff that we wrote about this week. So they have said that the new leader of an independent Alberta will be a president, and that president will be stay in Calgary, along with the vice president. There will be a Congress. I assume the current MLAs or whatnot. The Congress would be in Edmonton. The Supreme Court of all things would be in Grand Prairie. Imagine that, Jeanette. Your lifelong goal as a lawyer is to make it to the Supreme Court. You get named to it, and then you got to move to Grand Prairie.
Wow.
Not that anything against Grand Prairie,
Right.
but it
Yeah.
can't be very nice in the wintertime
It's
up
an
there.
interesting choice, that's for sure.
And the Senate would be based in Red Deer. And that's, again, lifelong dream. You get appointed to the Senate, but you got to go live in Red Deer. And the Attorney General and the Auditor General would be based in Lloydminster. But of course, you'd have to live in the Alberta half of Lloydminster to
Right.
to be effective. You don't want to move into the Saskatchewan side. So this is their initial proposal to spread the government around, put it in all various shapes and forms across the province. The only country in the world that does that right now apparently is South Africa. Now, nice place to visit, but I don't know if you'd be wanting to model your political system after South Africa's political system. I think that theirs doesn't work overly well.
Is there a reason that they chose to do that? They just wanted they wanted to represent all of the country of Alberta, I guess is what it would be, essentially.
Yeah, they just wanted to, unlike everything happening in Washington or everything
Yeah.
happening in Ottawa or
Well,
other world capitals, they wanted to spread out the fun and games. So so everybody in the province has a good feeling about it. But
I wonder
hey,
how productive that would be.
oh, I know. But imagine Lethbridge; they get left out. They don't get anything.
I know, I was thinking that. Nothing happens south of Calgary, apparently.
No,
Nothing in
no.
Medicine Hat, nothing in Lethbridge.
Yeah, I mean, at least give
They could have
Lethbridge
thrown us a bone a little bit.
at least give Lethbridge the civil service or something. I mean, come on. It's Lethbridge is a nice city, but
It
no,
sure
apparently, like Grand Prairie. So
Yeah, and then as
uh,
a reporter, how do you cover all these different things in different cities? You'd have to have bureaus in all those little towns and
you
just
would
have
or
a
they'd have
Supreme
to.
Court reporter and one for the Attorney General, you said, was in Lloydminster?
Yeah, Lloydminster.
Yeah.
So I mean, no media has the staff to put them in every single place. So
Yeah.
it's a good way to get things away from the media and get them through without much attention to them.
There you go. I think maybe you hit the nail on the head there, Dave. Dave, thanks so much for sharing with us today. Appreciate having you on.
My pleasure, Jeanette. Thanks very much.
Dave Naylor is the chief editor of the Western Standard. I'm Jeanette Roche on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks so much for watching.